Hi everyone, Laura Renner here with Freedom Makers for our weekly live Facebook Live. And today is a meaty topic. We're doing a how-to topic today. And if you've seen any of my previous videos or my blog, you probably know that email is my nemesis. I can't stand email. I despise it. I feel like it's the modern day rat race. I left corporate world. I started a business because I wanted to live life on my terms, and yet email seems to have followed me into my this new life from the corporate world. And I hate feeling tied to it and being tied down with it, but also it's just this beast that you can't you're the best you can hope for is to manage it. But like other beasts, you cut off the head and three more heads grow in and grow back. And it's the same way I feel with email. And there've been a lot of other tips on how to better handle email. A couple that I've tried is the do now, defer, delete, or delegate. And it worked for a little bit, but the problem with me is most of my emails are only take 2 minutes. And so then, if you have 60 emails, 2 minutes each, that's 2 hours. And that's still a lot of time. Another one I tried was called Yesterbox by Tony Shea, the founder of Zappos. And he shared that what he does is he only looks at email pretty much once a day. And he looks at it for yesterday's email. If it's urgent, it's going to come through in another method. But he spends about 4 hours in the morning going through yesterday's email. And then he doesn't look at it again. But 4 hours, that's still also a lot of time. And I tried that for a while, but it just drives me nuts. It's just, like I said, you just can't seem to tame it. And it's just this constant battle that you can never win. So I've spent the last couple of years, of course, in our business with helping business owners, but also in my own management of email, coming up with ways that works for me and I think would work for others. Now, part of this comes up with all these other methods that I've tried and that I've seen out there and that you've probably tried. Talk about how do you manage your inbox as it is. And I want to pose a question to you about shifting that mindset to how do you change your inbox? And that came about, I was talking with a friend of mine, Sean Johnson, who I tagged in this, in the comments section. And he mentioned, when he was in the Air Force, one of the things that he learned, valuable lessons he learned, was that information management is the key to the future, whether that's technology for managing that information or educating how to manage that information. And so I encourage you, or I challenge you to, instead of asking yourself, how do I get a handle on my inbox? Ask yourself, how do I send and receive information? And what is the best method for how to send and receive that information? So in the blog and then in today's video, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to manage that information, the information that you're sending and you're receiving within your business. And then at the end, we'll maybe talk about how to go about implementing this. So the first thing is ask yourself, what is the best way? What information do I need to receive? What information do I need to send? And what is the best way to do that? Is email the best way, or is there another way that requires less action on my part? And so for an example, so to do that, you're basically trying to reduce the number of emails you receive. And because you can get that information in a more efficient way elsewhere. That's the key thing. You can get that information or send that information in a more efficient way elsewhere, then you should be doing that and get it out of email. So ask yourself, what are some common emails that you receive? Maybe it's prospective clients wanting to schedule a call with you. Maybe it's an existing client asking for documents from you or sending documents to you. Maybe you're a service-based business and your clients request actions regularly, like a website designer or a landscape manager, a landscape maintainer, where you're constantly getting requests from your clients to take care of things. Is there a better way to receive that information than in email? So here are some things you can do. You can create an autoresponder on your email that answers the common questions you receive. You're welcome to email me and see my autoresponder, because the constant one I receive, or common one I receive, is scheduling a call. And so the autoresponder basically says, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not the best at email. If you're writing to schedule a call, would you be willing to use this link? And the link goes to my Calendly app, and it shows my availability, and they're able to schedule a call with me. Boom, no email required on my part. It also includes on there, if you're a current client and you have a question or an issue, please contact your account manager, with links to the phone number and email address for our account manager. And then if they don't want to use my link to schedule a call, no problem. When I get to that email, I will email them and say, how are these times? So it still works for them, but if they want to do it faster, they can use the link on my calendar, to my calendar. Maybe you are, like I said, a CPA, and you get clients saying, hey, can you send me my 2013 tax return? You could have your autoresponder say, if you're a client requesting previous documents, click here to access all of your documents, and it goes to like a shared drive or something like that. Or if you're a web designer, a landscape maintenance person, you can get an autoresponder saying, if you're calling to request service, click here to submit a ticket, and it would link to a customer service portal. So that's one way, is to set up an out of office. It's an out of office, but just basically an autoresponder. Another way to reduce the number of emails is to set up ways for clients to get that information to you elsewhere. As I mentioned, a CPA might use Dropbox or SmartVault. An attorney might as well, in order to get the clients to submit whatever documents they need to submit. A landscape maintainer, a website designer, they might use something like Freshdesk, which is a customer service portal. And so clients can submit tickets saying, please update this on my website. Please post this blog on my website, or please fix the hedges when you come back for your weekly lawn care, or something like that. Or a sprinkler pump broke, and they can submit that service ticket. The great example for service tickets is IT. And so, when you worked in a corporate setting, or you have an IT consultant now, something's going wrong with your computer, you click on the link and you submit what's called a ticket. And then that goes in a queue, and they get to you based on urgency and availability. And so you can use that in your business too. It doesn't just have to be IT. Another way is forms. If your clients if you need them to answer questions, you can create it in a form, and they fill out that form, and therefore it never goes into email. Or Slack channels. That might be another way. Maybe you have a channel for each client, and when they want to submit something or talk to you about something, they can post it there. And so then you don't have to go through email. So really think about, in your business, contracts. That's another one. If you are customizing your contract and then sending it through email, you can use software like DocuSign or HelloSign, to where it just takes a few clicks to modify the template and sends it to the client. No email on your part. And so it's just a lot easier to manage all of that information. And you might be like, that's a lot of different tools for a lot of different information. How's that faster or more efficient than managing email? The reason why is, one, it lets you outsource. So you could have your VA handle customizing contracts and sending them through DocuSign. Two, now all of your contracts are housed in DocuSign. So you don't have to go through your email trying to find contracts for certain clients when you want to check in on things. Same with Dropbox or SmartVault or other shared drives. Now each client can have a folder, and all that information is automatically stored there. So you're reducing a step, because if they email you their documents. Now you have to save them into a folder for that client. But the alternative is they could just upload that document straight into that folder, and then you don't have to worry about it. So on the one hand, it seems like you have more tools to manage. In reality, they're basically managing themselves, and everything is much more organized and efficient as a result. A good example of that is, for a reason irrelevant to email, I started having the Freedom Makers submit their hours every pay period through a form. And I did not anticipate that it would actually make email easier, because in the past, they would email it to me, and then as I would go through inputting that into payroll, I would go back and forth between email and payroll, which didn't seem like it was that much work. And it really only caused an issue if someone accidentally used a different email address, because then I would go search for them rather than go through all the emails in my inbox. What I discovered, though, is when I started having them use a form to submit, all of it was just in one place. And so it wasn't me going to email, typing their name, pulling up the email, going to payroll, entering the hours. It was simply going down the list, hours, 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 hours. There might even be a more efficient way where that form automatically uploads into the payroll account. I'm not there yet. But the point is I got that out of email, and that was a lot easier and reduced the number of emails I had to go through. So those are two ways to reduce the number of emails. Set an autoresponder and create ways for clients to give you that information or for you to send that information outside of email. Because if you think about it, another way that makes it more efficient is now all your contracts are in DocuSign. All your client documents are in Dropbox. All your customer service tickets are in Freshdesk. But if you're going through email, maybe you organize them so that you look at all the customer tickets first and then all the new client contracts second, or et cetera, et cetera. Or you might be going them in order. So one email is a client contract. The next email is client documents. And then the next email is payroll. And so now you're going all over the place. And that's not efficient, right? Number one tool to efficiency is batching. And when you're using all these other tools, that's basically batching. Okay, so now you're reducing the number of emails you're receiving because all the other information is being handled elsewhere more efficiently. So what do you do with the emails you are receiving? The second step is to now set priorities around what emails you receive, how they should be handled, in what order, who should be handling them, things like that. It's a way to help tame that beast. So emails tend to arrive from 4 different parties. One is support. So your employees, your contractors, your subcontractors, your vendors, any kind of service provider who's giving you a service to help you run your business. Those are one type of sender. Another type of sender is existing or previous clients, and they're requesting support or wanting to talk to you about the service you provide them. A third type of sender is prospective clients and or referral partners that would be potentially sending you clients. And then the fourth is everything else. So now you can determine in what order of importance you want to address the emails based on what you consider a priority. So an example might be prospective clients first, existing clients second, support senders third, and then everything else last. So now that you have an idea of when to respond or what is the priority, now who should respond? So if you're the primary salesperson, then you should be responding to prospective clients. Or maybe it's that your virtual assistant responds to get a call scheduled, but you take the call. Or maybe your salesperson, they handle those calls, those emails. The next one is existing clients. So again, if you're the main service provider, you're going to handle those. Or if you have an employee that handles certain levels or certain types, even a VA, for instance, if there's an easy request, then they can handle those and you handle the meatier requests. And then the third is support. So your bookkeeper, your web designer, any of your contractors or subcontractors, your employees. Presumably, who would handle those? Could it be an employee, like an office manager, that handles all of the business manager, handles all of the support emails, or some other type of person, or does it need to be you? And then finally, everything else. Now, everything else could be handled by a VA, but it might include newsletters that you want to read when you have the time. So you got to determine who's going to read them. So now you have the order of priority for these types of emails, and you have defined who's going to be responsible for responding to them. So then that makes it easier to handle the information you're receiving and how you're going to send it out, right? So the step one was really reducing the number of emails because you're making it more efficient by having other tools handle the information being sent and received. Then the emails you do have, you've now determined the priority to respond to them and who should be responding to them. And then finally, that leaves the last step, and that is, how do you actually organize your inbox, which is where most other tips start. So if you want to check out, we posted episode 3 of our All Systems Go productivity hacks web series, and we show you a settings change you can do in Gmail to help you better organize your email, prioritize your email. You can also create filters and folders for, okay, prospective clients go in this folder, existing clients go in that folder, support emails go in this folder, everything else goes in that folder, and I'll just get to it when I have time. You could set up filters so that those go automatically that way. You could set up where your VA does it for you. Every morning they log in and they organize everything, and you just go straight to the prospective clients folder. And when that's empty, you go to the existing clients folder. Or if your employee is going to handle that, then they go to the existing clients folder, et cetera, et cetera. It could even be, I've seen it where it's color coded, and so they stay in your inbox, but it's color coded. So then you know, okay, I'm going to tackle the green emails first, followed by the blue emails. So whatever works for you, you can create that system. And if you want to do it through a filter, if you want to do it through a VA or employee, you can do it however you want. Another thing you can do, I mentioned something like Freshdesk or customer service tickets, a customer service portal, if you will. But you can also use that internally. And it's another way to be efficient, where if a client is emailing you and it's a task your employee or VA could handle it, basically you're now the bottleneck because you have to forward that email to the employee or VA for them to handle it. But if you connect your email to something like Freshdesk, basically every email becomes a ticket, and each person can log in and assign tickets based on how you define who's going to handle what. An example is, we had a large client who had us doing a specific project for them, but we had, I think, 3 or 4 people working for that one client, and we had our own designated email just for that client. And we defined, okay, Charmin's going to do this kind of work for that client, Raina's going to do that kind of work for that client, and I'm going to handle this kind of work for that client. And so then everything went into Freshdesk, and every morning, or whoever was available would log in. It was mostly Charmin, but whoever was available would log in and assign the different emails based on the different areas of responsibilities that we were covering for this client. I know someone else who's a consultant, and same thing. They do that same thing where the employee can handle sort of lower level, like associate level tasks, and the principal handles the higher level tasks for each of their clients. And so they assign tasks based on that. And then they have 2 other employees. One's an admin, and another one does one specific role for any client. So they assign tasks that way. So that's another way to do it. And finally, one way that I learned from another business owner is she has a private email for her clients. So she has a public facing email on her website and everything like that. And then once you become a client of hers, she gives you her private email. So her public email is monitored and handled by the team. And then her private email is the one that she checks more regularly to make sure her clients are taken care of. So that's another method you could use. All right, so I've thrown a lot of tips and tools at you, but basically remember there are 3 steps. Find ways to reduce the number of emails in your inbox to begin with. And you do that by assessing the kind of information you're receiving and the kind of information you're sending, and what are more efficient ways to send and receive that information. So once you've reduced the number of emails in your inbox, now you'd have to decide how to address the emails that are in your inbox based on the order of priority and who should be handling what. And now that you have that defined, the last step is setting up the tools within your inbox to handle that, whether it's through settings, through filters, through using a VA, through using a tool like Freshdesk, through having a private email account, whatever the methods are. Now, this might be overwhelming. There's a lot of information there. There's a lot of steps to take. You don't have to do it all at once. I'm a huge fan of doing things piecemeal. Start with one thing. What is that one email, common email that drives you nuts? And figure out a way to reduce that. So for me, I started off with scheduling calls. I know a lot of you are probably with me in that you despise the whole, all right, how does Tuesday 9 a.m. start? Sound, sorry, can't make that one. What about Wednesday at 10? Oh, sorry, I have a meeting. How about Thursday at 3? And this the back and forth about trying to find a common meeting time. And there are all types of tools out there, using VAs, using something like Calendly or Acuity. There's all different ways out there to do it. Figure out the way that works best for you. So for me, that's what I started with. And I created that autoresponder as a result, as a way to reduce that one type of email by saying, look, you don't like the back and forth. I don't like the back and forth. If you're willing, click on this link to schedule a call with me. Easy peasy, done as that. So that's how I started off with. And then eventually I went to DocuSign to create my contracts, and that became so much easier. And also clients sign them faster, and they sign them sooner. Oh, faster and sooner, that's the same thing. And so people were getting started sooner. So have you ever done that? You send the contract an email and you never hear back from them, and you wonder, like, when should I follow up? Is it too soon to follow up? Are they not interested anymore? When in reality, it's probably buried in their email because they haven't tamed that beast. So if you send it through DocuSign, you can track where it's at. You can send them reminders. It's a lot easier. So once I got that going, then I created a form for when I talk with them on the phone and they're not ready to start right away, they need to think about how they're going to use their Freedom Maker, their virtual assistant. I send them a form and it says, when you're ready, simply fill this out. And it's basic. It just says, summarize how you want us to support you and list some times that you're available for potential Freedom Makers to call you. Then I set it up so that when someone fills it out, I get alerted by text message rather than email. And so I see that someone fills it out, and now I know. I send it off to Shambrea, or Shambrea receives a copy as well, and she gets started on the search. So then that made things a lot easier, because that was a problem when clients, I would speak to them and maybe a couple days later or couple weeks later, they were ready to start. And then it would sit in my inbox waiting a few days. And we all know that enthusiasm, you got to strike when it's hot. And if it's waiting in your inbox for a couple days, that's money you're leaving on the table. So by setting it up so that I received it as text message, no immediate now, no longer any waits for clients to get started with us. So once that was going, I thought, okay, everything's running pretty smoothly. And then, like I said, it was kind of irrelevant to email, but I set up a form for Freedom Makers to submit their hours. And I just noticed, wow, how much easier is it to handle payroll outside of email? So that's been going very smoothly. And then I thought, okay, how can I do this elsewhere? And it occurred to me that, a lot of our clients are prepay. And so twice a month, we send them updates with their balance of hours, and we send that through email. And then they'll respond with add X number hours, and then we add it and we send them an invoice. So now there's a form. So rather than them having to respond an email, they simply fill out the form and add the hours themselves. So that's how I've done it. It's a progression. It's been a progression of about 2 years. And each time I add a little bit of making email more efficient, because I'm taking out the sending, I'm automating basically the sending and receiving of information into and out of my business and within my business to make things run more efficiently, but to also have fewer emails so that the ones I do need to respond to get responded to more quickly and with less of a headache for myself. And that is how I am taming the beast of email. So ironically, I started doing videos because I don't like writing much. And the irony is that I majored in English in undergrad, so writing should not be that difficult for me. But I don't really enjoy it. I do love talking. And so that's partly why I love doing videos. But over time, I've realized sometimes the information is so meaty that you need to be able to write it down so you can structure it, you can visually organize it, which when I was doing literature analysis in undergrad, that seemed to be what I gravitated toward generally anyways. How is this information visually structured in order to convey, and what message does that structure convey to the reader? And so as I've been doing more and more of these videos, I find myself every once in a while wanting to write it out, because I just covered a lot of information and there really isn't any way for you to visually see it in a structured way. It's just me talking. And so I actually sat down and wrote it out in a blog, and the link is there for you to read it if you want to see it visually structured. And of course, writing is like any other muscle, where the more you use it, the better you get at it. So it's definitely not my best material, but as I get more comfortable going back into writing, I'm sure it will improve. So check out the blog, post your comments on the video about maybe your email techniques or what methods you may have tried recently or as a result of this video, and together we can all conquer this beast known as email. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Thursday and rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.